First, let's find out what happened today in stock market trading. Let's give a little bit of an insight into new home sales and its effect on equities. Courtney Donohoe from the NYSE reports. Courtney?
Well, Pim, a total wow number. New home sales climbing in the most about 50 years. April 1963 was the last time that we saw numbers like this, up 27% in March. That number exceeding economists' highest forecast. And buyers, they're out there, they're running to qualify for the government's tax credit, and that's going to end next week, so people are rushing out to get it. And every region saw gains, big increase in the South, importantly. And as a result, home builders saw a big jump because of those numbers. D.R. Horton, Lennar, Pulte, all higher. And these home builders, they saw a big gain this week. Now, give me credit, though. They are saying watch out because they don't see sustainability because these gains are basically stimulus-driven.
All right. Now, Courtney, it wasn't just home builders that did well today, right? The biggest gainers were in the energy sector.
Yeah, real lift to stocks today came from those energy producers. And we also saw a big jump from raw materials companies, too. Dollar dropping against the euro, lifting oil, driving commodities. Oil, a lot of times, moves off the dollar action. We saw that happen today. And that movement coming from what we're seeing right now happening in Greece with its debt situation.
All right. Well, tell me, what is the effect of Greece asking for all of that aid? We know what's been happening to the euro. What's the effect on stocks?
Well, Greece looking to the IMF, other European countries for emergency money. Greece continuing to have problems. The country seeing a surprise surge in borrowing costs. The prime minister said the surge in borrowing costs has moved to unsustainable levels, and the country appealing for aid now before it sinks even further into debt. We saw some lows in stocks earlier in the day because of this, but Greece asking for a financial bailout amounting to as much as $60 billion.
Now, with the performance of U.S. corporate earnings, were they able to balance the problems exposed by Greece?
Yeah, it definitely did, and that's another reason why we're seeing this lift to the markets today. And also want to point out 8 straight weeks of gains for the Dow. Now, another round of strong numbers that includes American Express, which we reported on yesterday. Merck saying healthcare law won't affect the forecast of annual earnings growth of almost 10% through 2013. Schlumberger, too, saying international profit margins hit bottom earlier than forecast. But I want to point out 80% of S&P 500 companies that have reported first quarter results have beaten estimates.
Now, Courtney, there was another round of hearings on Capitol Hill, right? This having to do with rating agencies today.
Yeah, definitely. They were under fire on Capitol Hill today, an examination of the role in the collapse of the subprime market. Now, former employees of S&P and Moody's telling the Senate why the ratings agencies assigned such high ratings to mortgage-backed securities, and then they later turned out to be junk. Well, they said lack of resources, poor regulation, and a push by management for market share and profits. That was some of the reasons behind this.
Now, Courtney, I know that there are going to be more hearings on Capitol Hill next week, specifically Chief Executive of Goldman Sachs, which is the cover story of this week's Bloomberg Business Week magazine. He's going to be testifying on Tuesday. What else do investors have to look forward to next week?
Yeah, we're also going to be hearing from Fabrice Touré. He's the banker at the center of the fraud allegations, and they're going to be testifying before that Senate subcommittee. But we also got a lot more earnings. They're going to start to wind down next week, but we got Caterpillar, Texas Instruments, they're coming out on Monday. 3M, UPS, and Ford on Tuesday. Sprint, Dow, and Visa on Wednesday. Thursday is Exxon, Motorola, and Bristol-Myers. But as I said, earnings is starting to wind down. But also, we have to focus on the Fed. The Fed's going to be meeting next week, and the interest rate decision coming out on Wednesday. Plus, we got the Milken Global Conference starting on Monday, and we're going to be covering that for you.
All right. I want to thank you very much, Courtney Donohoe, reporting from the NYSE.